We started a little business where the kids, we have somebody who put some hives out, and we took the honey from the hives, and the kids spun the honey and bottled it and sold it, and then we started making t-shirts. We sold t-shirts at the Holiday Bazaar, and so we have a little class business, but a lot of what went into it was just learning about pollinators and specifically about honeybees. And the kids wanted to come here and share with you some of their passion and their information about pollinators. So, really appreciate how you guys look like a really attentive and quiet audience. And you may have to strain to hear, especially those of you in the back. They're working on projecting their voices, and you guys are going to try to talk so that people way in the back, Miss Yamani back there in the lavender shirt, can hear you, okay?
Honeybees help us because we like to eat honey and use honey and beeswax in lots of ways.
2 million pounds of honey is used each year to baking desserts, candies, teas, and cereals. It's good on toast or straight.
Beeswax is used in making many musical instruments, as in the accordion, the didgeridoo, and a couple other ones. Beeswax is also used in making chocolates, and making crayons, and restoring paintings. Besides the delicious honey and the beeswax that bees give us, there's something more that they do for the earth. They pollinate our plants. Since plants produce carbon dioxide that we need to breathe with and the food that we need to eat with, pollinators like bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds keep us alive. Here's how it goes. The bee pollinates the flower. He gets nectar in his proboscis and gets pollen in his pollen basket. Sometimes he gets pollen over his hairy body. From flower to flower, he wiggles off pollen into the other flowers. That's how the flower reproduces seeds. This is where the flower makes the seeds. This is the stamen. This is the pollen. This is the pistil. This is the stigma. And this is the ovule.
What do you,
Found this picture.
what does that bee have all over its body?
Pollen.
Yeah.
Our favorite kind of pollinator is the honeybee. This is what they look like. The stinger is only used once. Once the bee uses the stinger, it falls off from the bee bag. The abdomen is the bottom part of the body. The thorax is the middle part of the body. The head of the bee has 5 eyes. Bee has pollen baskets to carry pollen and nectar. Bee has 4 wings and an antenna for 2 senses. Of course, all honeybees don't exactly look like this. There has to be 3 kinds of bees in a hive for it to survive. Everyone in the hive starts out as a regular bee, but then they feed a few bees royal jelly until they hatch. The first bee to hatch will be the queen. She kills all the other larvae. A queen bee usually lives 2 to 4 years and lays about 2,000 eggs a day.
This is a picture of a drone. A drone bee has 2 jobs. That is to find the new hive because it has the bigger eyes and to mate with the queen. A drone bee lives for 90 days.
And how do they get treated by the...
Not so good. They get kicked out of the hive in winter if there's not enough food and not enough room.
And you said that there aren't so many drones
There's 200 in a hive
out of how many?
out of 1,500.
Out of what, 50,000?
short life.
And some of the jobs.
When a bee hatches, it cleans itself, then it cleans other cells.
Some bees die in the hive, and the house bees move the dead bees out of the hive. They try to move the dead bees as far as they can away from the hive so that there's not a big pile of bees. Nurse bees tend to their baby sisters 1,300 times a day. Because they want to make sure all the baby larvae get cared for and taken care of correctly. Attending to the queen bee. Because the Royal Highness is unable to attend to her most basic needs by herself, the worker bees do these jobs for her. Worker bees go to flowers and collect nectar. Then they bring it back to the hive and do the mouth-to-mouth process. Worker bees flap their wings to cool down the hive and to evaporate the honey. Worker bees that are about 12 days old are mature enough to start making beeswax. The little wax flakes they make help with building the honeycomb. The guard bees guard the hive, and bees come in if they're not part of the hive. They'll bribe them and say, "I'll let you in only if you give us some of your nectar." So the bee gives them some of their nectar, but the bee also takes some of their nectar. With her life half over, the worker bee now ventures outside, meets all the other field bees, and becomes a field bee too. She has to visit 5 million flowers to just make a pint of honey. A bee goes to 115 to 1,500 flowers each day. They collect the nectar from the flower, and then they go back to the hive and do the mouth-to-mouth process.
After the bee that received the pollen, it goes into its digestive system, and with its enzymes, it makes it into sweet sugar, and then it stores it into a comb, and then every bee will once in a while come by it and fan it with its wings, and then they will eventually it will turn into honey.
Pollen. Pollen is also carried in pollen basket. They bring it back to the hive and give it to a different bee. And that bee goes and it feeds it to the larva. The bee dance. The bee dance is a special communication that the bees use. And it means, this is what the bee dance means. It means where the flowers are, how many flowers there are, how far they are, and how much there is.
So, Kayla, you want to show the pollen that you brought?
This is pollen what the bees use to make honey. This is honey that we boil in the jar.
And Diego, you want to come out here and show them what a beekeeper might wear for protection? I bet Gary doesn't wear all this, but I do when I open a hive. And he's also, you're not wearing the gloves, but he's also got gloves. And this hood zips right on, so there's really like, and around the ankles and around the wrists, it can be tightened, so bees really can't get in there. But honeybees generally, if you move slowly, and you don't stand right in front of the door to their hive, they're generally pretty peaceful little girls, and yeah, don't really want to hurt you. So this is probably overprotection, but hey, I'm new at it, so I wanted to be really safe. And who was just going to show that? Okay, Jesus is going to pass out cards to you of other pollinators, not honeybees. And Colin has a couple of frames that are still filled with honey, but they're also filled with brood, dead brood as it is, and pollen. So you want to take those around so people can see? Danny, do you want to do one? Okay.
I'll do one.
Galen?
Come on,
And Gary can probably explain more than I can, but this is a brood pattern, yeah?
Yes. Honeycomb starts out, when they first make it, very white, like snow white, like you see here. And then when they raise brood, which are the baby bees, that has, over time, discolors the comb. Now, we traditionally use different frames that we make honey with than what we use for brood. It doesn't hurt anything, there's no contaminants in this, but we normally would put a queen excluder and let the bees come up and store honey above their head. Bees always want honey above their head. If you notice, the honey is in a band right here. I don't know if everybody can see that. And then below that, they'll store the pollen. Now, bees do not live on honey. They live on protein, just like we live on protein. So the pollen is the protein. That's what makes little babies, and that's what makes bees. The honey is for energy and to be able to keep the hive alive, to give them enough energy to be able to control the heat temperature in the hive. So this is the normal pattern, that there will be honey along the edges, then there will be pollen, and then there will be baby bees called brood in the middle. These little cappings right here are brood that got cold and did not hatch. The bees will, if this was put back into the hive, within minutes, the bees will take these out and take out the little baby dead bees and throw them out of the hive. Bee hives are very, very clean on the inside. If they have enough bees to properly maintenance the hive, it is really, really nice inside. And the smell inside is incredible. So they have a healthy hive. So who wants to pass this around? First one here, I guess, and you make the choice. You're the boss. Okay.
And you'll notice that there's two kinds of frames here. This one already had some plastic kind of to help the bees get started, and that one that Gary's holding now was just a frame, and the bees did that whole honeycomb pattern.
The honeycomb build.
Yeah. Now, Alexis's grandpa just got bees on Saturday.
Oh, great.
And so she brought the container that the bees came in.
Let her explain that, and if she wants, I'll have some help. You want to take
You
this
want to
around?
explain,
for
and then
the-
Gary will
everybody to
take
see?
over after that.
Go ahead.
She has a really soft voice, so you might have to scream.
You want me to
Loud
hold
as
that
you
for you?
can, girl.
I can hold that for you. Okay, here. And I'll let you point.
This is a box that used to have 10,000 worker bees in it, and one queen. And this is a can that has 3 holes in it, and it has sugar water in it for the bees to eat. And this is how you get the bees in the hive, and it's hard to get the can.
Is there syrup in it? You want help? inside that cage is this little cage that has the queen in it, right? And then all the bees that were in this cage get used to her scent so that they accept her. So that then this queen hangs like this, and all the bees will feed her and take care of her until you put them into the new hive. Right? Did you see Grandpa do it? Was that fun? Okay. And how did he do it?
He took the queen out,
Mm-hmm.
and then he put her in the hive, and then he went to the hive, and then did this upside down, and then shaking a little, and then the bees are on a pile on top of the hive, and then he put this to the side, and then he gently pressed her into the hive, and then he put the lid on.
And then he got stung a couple of times, didn't he?
And did he put the queen in at the end? Right? And then he put the queen in, right?
He put the queen in first.
And then how does the queen get out of here? Do you remember? The queen is put in this cage, and there is a sugar plug inside this, so that the bees will start eating the sugar, and 2 or 3 days later, the queen bee will then escape out. In that period of time, they become accustomed to her scent. Every queen is different. These bees came out of a different hive that came with this box here. So if you didn't give the bees time to become accustomed to this queen, they would not accept her, and they would probably kill her. So it's important that this hangs in this box with all these bees, so they become accustomed to that smell, so that when they let her out, that then they accept her, and then she'll start being fed up to 7 times her body weight a day. She has no extracts except for eggs. It's the only thing that she produces in her life is eggs. So that's how the cycle goes, and the bees take care of her and feed her only royal jelly. What else do you have to say? You have pictures? You want to show those? You can pass them. Do you want to take them and pass them around to them? Okay, well, you've got to start somewhere. So how you would install these is the first thing you would do is you would take this package and you drop it, and all the bees would go to the bottom. Okay? That gives you a couple seconds to be able to take the top off, take the queen out, and then put a seal back on here, so that then you could go over to the hive. Then you would take and you would dump all the bees inside the hive, okay? Okay, and then you would put the queen in. That's how we make what's called new hives, or make from packages. We call these packages, and make new hives all year long. I make probably 200 to 300 of these a year. The loss rate is 70%. 70% of the bees in this country are dying every year. And they're dying from a little mite. A little bitty little mite. It'd be like if there was a crab, a Dungeness crab. Most of you have had crab, right? So it'd be like a lobster. It would be like if a lobster was hanging off the side of you. And those mites are sucking the fluids from these bees, causing them to get sick and causing them to not have good health. And that's what's killing the honeybee in this country. If the honeybee dies and there were no honeybees, Albert Einstein said that the world would starve to death in 7 years. That's how important the honeybee is. Anybody got any questions?